Thank you for joining us today. I am Kay Broadbeck with the League of Women Voters. The League is sponsoring this debate so that the electorate can become informed on the candidates and make informed votes. The primary election is April 6th, and we will only, in the primary, we'll only find Republican candidates because there's more than one person per position. In the Democratic Party, the Democratic candidates are unopposed. Ward 5 is located on the south side of the city. It crosses I-20, Natchez Trace on the west side, and then it goes eastward. In Ward 5, you will vote at the Public Works office on Spring Ridge Road. Why do you want to vote? Not only do city services come to our house, they actually come into our house. It's streets, water, the garbage pickup, all of these kinds of services, all these services in public works serve every one of us in every household. In Ward 5 today, we have candidates Jill Hutchison, to my right, to your left, and Beverly Oliver. Thank you both for coming. We appreciate that. Hayden King is also on the ballot and not taking part. I did need to mention that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. We neither support nor oppose candidates or political parties. Our moderator today is Randy Bell. He's news director for iHeart Media and Radio. Our timekeeper is Daphne Myers. Videographer is Mark Jones, the City of Clinton Communications Director, with the help of his intern, Carly Culpepper. The candidates know the rules. We are giving them 2 minutes to answer questions and also for their introductory remarks and closing remarks. If they wish to comment on the other candidates' responses, they will have 1 minute for their response. Another rule is that we're following the COVID safety protocol. So, and we had a drawing prior to the debate for the order of speaking. So, I'm going to turn it over now to Randy Bell.
Thanks, Kay. And as she mentioned, we are being careful about COVID protocols. We're, as you can see, or you may can see, socially distanced. And we've been masked up, but now we get to this point, we're asking the candidates to unmask so that we can hear them more plainly as we get into the question portion of the debate. We're going to have a number of questions here that are sort of general city interest questions, and then we'll have a special question that will be specific to Ward 5. So we'll get going here with our opening statements. As Kay mentioned, there was a drawing before we started to see which candidate would go first, and Mrs. Hutchison won, if you call it that. Her name was picked, and she has chosen to make the first opening statement. She'll also have the first closing statement. So Mrs. Hutchison, go ahead.
Good afternoon. I am Jill Hutchison. Clinton has been my home for over 30 years. My family moved here when I was 11 years old. I went to Clinton Public Schools. I graduated in 1993. I also attended Mississippi College. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Biology. I married my high school sweetheart, Chip Hutchison, who is also a longtime Clintonian. We have 3 children, young adult children now. 1 is still in high school. All of our children play ball at Traceway. Our boys play ball at school. Our daughter has been a cheerleader. They've been involved in attaché over the years. This is my 12th year booster club attaché parent. I also have been a business owner in Clinton for over 20 years. I have Jillian's Salon and Boutique. It's in Old Town. We recently moved to Old Town about a year ago from the Parkway. I was on the Parkway for 17 years. I was actually one of the first businesses on the Parkway. My family and I are very invested in Clinton. We love Clinton. This is our home. I'm running for alderman because I want to serve you. I want your voices to be heard and make this city the very best that it can be.
All right, we'll hear now an opening statement, Mrs. Alderwoman.
Thank you to the League of Women for supporting and sponsoring this event, and also the City of Clinton and Randy Bell for supporting the debate. Don and I have been married over 30 years and raised our family here. We attend First United Methodist Church, where I've served on the Board of Trustees, youth chair, and many committees, and initiated Ladies' Night Out. We are a small business owner, and I've been a nurse and family nurse practitioner for 39 years. I have a servant's heart as a healthcare worker. The year of the nurse was in 2020 and now 21. What an understatement that came to be with the unprecedented time of COVID. I have and am a patient advocate for all my patients and their families, especially when they could not be at the bedside. I was the first nurse practitioner St. Dominic's ever hired. I will carry that same advocacy and assertiveness to the table at City Hall. I will be an advocate for Ward 5. One of the visions is improving infrastructure and bringing more tournaments to the park so we can have an increased economic tax base and be able to do other things like multi-purpose walks. This would be also a benefit of adding variety of stores and restaurants. We have a great city, and I will continue to grow and develop our city as alderman and advocate for Ward 5. What separates me is my experience in leadership through a variety of areas, and through my leadership have been asked and I have served in roles of local, district, and state committees. I've also served in organizations such as Shower Power to help the less fortunate and underserved. My conviction to you is working for you and our community. I thank God for this opportunity, and I would be so honored to serve as your Ward 5 alderman. I love our great city and want to be involved in the growth and development to make it #1 in the state and in this country. Thank you.
All right, thank you for those comments, and we're going to move on now to our questions, which were developed by the League of Women Voters. And our first question, just follow up on some of the things you talked about in your opening statements. Give us a little more about your qualifications and your experience, specifically as to how it would make you the best candidate for this job. And we're going to begin with Mrs. Oliver.
As I said earlier, I have been in leadership roles throughout my adult life. I've initiated things, I think outside the box, and I also will have an open mind through problem solving, critical thinking, and listening, and being a trustworthy person. And we will work with experts. I don't know everything about everything, and so what I would do is go to the experts in that field, whether it's police, firemen, business owners, the Clinton Chamber of Commerce, and I would listen to them, get their expertise, but help them problem solve and help me problem solve and work through critical thinking and through economic development and that kind of thing. One of my visions is also to our young families move to our city because we are one of the top 6A schools, and schools are very important. Also, Mississippi College is one of the top private schools in the nation, where I received a BSN in nursing and an MBA. So I have a lot of leadership. I serve on a state committee, been asked to serve on state. I'm on the state executive board for Mississippi Nurse Association, and I serve as president for over 8 years in the largest district in the state for nursing. I've also initiated and written some booklets for my patients. I also have help with policies and procedures that help through nursing, through Coalition for Cancer Prevention, and also, those kind of things, working together, being open-minded for different people from different walks of life coming together for a solution.
All right, Mrs. Hutchison, what are some qualifications and experience that you would bring to the Board of Aldermen?
Well, I spoke up before that I am a business owner, and I understand the challenges of a business every single day in the problem solving. I have to set budgets, I have to set goals, I have strategic planning, and I have to execute all those details. I listen to clients every day and what their wants are and helping them achieve them. I work well with others. I have a staff of 10 that I work with, 4 of who have been with me for 7 to 15 years. I hand chose these strong, intelligent women that I work with, and they all have ideas, and they all have things that they want to bring to the table to help us be successful. And we work as a team to pull those together, and also for the vision of my company so that we can be successful. A few years ago, I had an opportunity to take a trip on a mission trip to Cambodia, and I went to teach young men who had been trafficked barbering. So I got to use my skills and my talents to help them grow. And at the same time, I was able to plant some ideas and help them develop a program so that they could, earn a living, and that program is still running today. I had no idea what God was going to use me for, but I was willing. And I'm willing to continue to learn about our city and grow and to serve you.
All right, we all know that the city has some pressing needs and concerns, immediate things, but we want to take maybe a larger view now, a wider view, and ask each of you to tell us a little bit about your vision for the city of Clinton as you look forward in the future, maybe the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So we're going to start with Mrs. Hutchison.
Well, my vision for Clinton is to definitely see it thrive and grow. I would love to see young professionals be able to move here and have a home that they could afford. One of the things that I see is a need for housing and economic development, and that is big for our community. We need to have houses so that our economy can grow. And working with our developers and our builders to do that, and building those relationships are important. So as far as a vision, I would love to see our parks and recs continually be beautiful, and families want to plant their roots here so they'll stay here. Keeping our codes and our standards up for these houses and for economic development is very important. That keeps our city beautiful. And when other businesses see that we have businesses that we're supporting here, they'll want to come. So my vision is that we'll continue to grow and not just stay where we are.
Mrs. Oliver, your vision for Clinton?
Well, I have a lot of visions. Of course, we want to grow and thrive, but there are some things that I feel like we need that could benefit and bring a lot of economic tax base to our city. One is I would love to start a bike park, a Clinton bike park. Greenville has over 1,000 riders coming and doing a bike ride, and why can't we? We have a lot of historical areas that they could ride on. Also, I don't know if you remember, but my boys love the BMX track that used to be around Parks, Public Works, and that will bring not only experienced bikers but also families with strollers and tricycles, and then the BMX. Also, we have a great blues person from Clinton, and so I would love to connect the Mississippi Blues Trails and bring it into Clinton and feature Eddie Cotton Jr., who is renowned for his blues and jazz. Also, we have a lot of empty buildings. I would love to fill those buildings with businesses. The old fire station by the junior high, why can't we have Brick Street Players have that venue and us start having plays again? Instead of going to New Stage in Jackson, we need to come to the old fire station to have Christmas Carol and that kind of stuff. So those are some of my visions, and also expound on our history. This is History Week starting today through Saturday, and we need to continue that once a year, one person play highlighting our history and having many people view that. Last year was 300 with the Southern and the news outlets coming to to cover that. I am a consensus builder and problem solver, and I would love to bring solutions and innovative ideas, thinking outside the box.
Well, I think you would agree that we all see Clinton as a safe city. We like to think that. Public safety is certainly important to everyone in Clinton. And we're not just talking about the police department, also the courts. It's part of it too. The city has to do everything it can to prevent criminal activity and then prosecute those who cause harm. So my question to you is, what would you do as a member of the Board of Aldermen to improve public safety in Clinton? And we'll start with Mrs. Allen.
Well, of course, public safety. We are the number 3 safest city in the state. We could be number 1 if everybody would like their cars, including me. I'm guilty, so I've been really trying to do that better. Also, of course, our police and firemen, they need training. We need to give them the opportunity to build and earn certificates, and also equipment. And then look at salaries across the board. Some may need adjusting. Also, with Will being our full-time lawyer, he is a great asset, also as our full-time judge, so we can take care of our problems in a timely manner. Another public safety thing that I hear when I'm going door to door is speeding in the neighborhoods. That is something that is a public safety issue, and we've just got to figure out how we can do it. Working with the HOAs and businesses to think outside the box. For example, maybe some roundabouts in the subdivisions, more stop signs, having the police sit and monitor those kind of things. But I really do hear a lot of that as an issue. Also, a lot of our older neighborhoods have a lot of entrances and exits. Maybe some of the streets that they are speeding down, we could beautify an exit and close it like Bellhaven did in some of their areas to decrease that. Police satellites. East Clinton is right next to West Jackson. That is the #1 crime city in the country, not #1, #5 in the crime city in the United States. So I feel like we need to have a police satellite station there, and also move a police satellite station down Pine Haven and the new fire station, and that would help. Now, the city of Clinton has some things that they do right now that helps with the criminal that I've been asked not to say, but public safety is good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hutchison, your thoughts on improving public safety?
Well, I feel like Clinton is doing an amazing job. To be the 3rd safest city in the state of Mississippi, that just speaks volume by itself. I feel very blessed to be a part of a city where the police are, going above and beyond to protect us. I love seeing a police car drive down my street just to check on the neighborhood. As we do grow, I feel like we do need to have resources. We need to have equipment availability ready for our first responders. And as we do grow, we need to be able to match the ratio to the police and our citizens and make sure that we stay in that safety zone. We need to continue to show them how much we support them.
We're going to allow a follow-up to this question if you have some additional thoughts on public safety.
Well, I just think that Clinton has moved a long ways compared to some other cities with the full-time judge, full-time attorney, and we have the #1 bomb squad in the state. Our bomb squad is always being called to come help in other cities and that kind of thing, and I think we need to continue to build them. Our firemen, we have neighbor firemen, they are awesome. They will go in there and put just like the police, their lives on the line to save us. And like Jill said, we have a lot of police going through our neighborhoods. And a good thing that I think our city did was separate the traffic police from the patrol. So if they have stopped a person to give a speeding ticket and there's a call and a need, then the city of Clinton has separated that, and the patrol car can go straight to the need in a timely and urgent manner.
All right, Ms. Hutchison, you have 60 seconds for a follow-up.
Again, I just think that being one of the top 3 cities in the state of Mississippi for safety is an amazing accomplishment. And we definitely need to keep supporting our police and our firemen, and that's a great want that people want when they're looking for a city. Is it safe? So I feel like that's a great accomplishment for Clinton.
Okay, we're going to move on to economic development. That's certainly a major issue always, but we want to hear some specifics from you about things that you would do as a member of the Board of Aldermen to improve our ability to retain the businesses that we have and then to attract new retail, industrial, commercial activities in the city of Clinton. We'll start with Mrs. Hutchison.
Well, new housing here is very important. We need new houses. New houses bring economic development. Businesses want to come where a community is growing. They want to know that they're going to be financially supported. Right now, I think we have like 25 houses on the market. 7 of those are new, which tells me 2 things: that we don't have a lot of people leaving our community, and we don't have enough room for people to come to our community. So we need to be working with these developers and these builders and building these relationships because they're financially backing it to come here. That's what's going to help build our economy. Keeping the codes and the standards up, that's very important. We need to have businesses that are compatible to each other. When I go to other cities, a lot of times I'll be in a business, a restaurant or boutique or whatever, and I'll go to the manager or the owner and I'll say, hey, you have a great store. Would you ever think about expanding? Would you want to come to Clinton? I'm a great advocate for promoting Clinton, and I feel like we need to be supporting our businesses here so that other businesses see that we are supporting what we have, and they'll want to be a part of that.
Mrs. Oliver, what would you do as a member of the board to promote economic development?
Well, I think the first thing that they did, which was an awesome job and idea, is to hire Gabriel, the economic director, so he can go to Las Vegas to the small business shows and promote our city internationally and nationally. And I think he has done an awesome job. Small businesses do look for rooftops, the housing and that kind of thing. But we need to continue to promote our city. The Chamber of Commerce, Clinton Chamber of Commerce does an excellent job in helping with businesses getting started. The website, our communication director has put what you need to start a business, permits and extra permits in Old Town. They've done a great job bringing Sonny's Barbecue, Atlas, the new Mexican restaurant. We need to solicit not only the large but the small businesses and fill the empty buildings. We need mid-size houses to bring, but I think, again, the schools is what attracts our businesses. I was talking to a developer in Bruenberg. He is fixing to build some of the houses. We've got still some streets that houses can be built, and he feels very confident and comfortable building mid-size houses for new people. Also, we need to get our businesses to open a little bit later, so when we're at work in Jackson, we can run home and buy from them. I've heard that a lot working through the neighborhoods. We need to solicit smaller versions. For instance, maybe Best Buy, and you can be an online pickup, but also have the latest so we can look at it here. Variety of restaurants, diversify our workforce, and I think those are the things. And I know the other day someone told me that the 2 questions that new businesses ask when they come in, that is, are we part of Jackson's water, and what is our safety level?
Thank you, Ms. Hutchison. You have an opportunity to follow if you care to.
Sure. We definitely need to keep our codes and our standards up for our city so that it looks beautiful and attractive so these businesses will want to come here. And we also need to continue to, build the houses and work with our builders and our developers to do that.
All right, Ms. Oliver, a final word on economic development.
Well, I think that we continue. We have a good start from last year hiring the director of economics, and I think that they are doing a lot. There's some good things coming down the road that we should be hearing about pretty soon. And I think getting more variety in restaurants and stores, boutiques, filling up our old towns, some of the empty buildings, and I think that will add attraction. Economic development, look at the movie industry that just came to our town. There's a movie in March or May coming that's bringing $11 million to our city. And if we build a sound production stage where we have the production, they're using our businesses like the Clinton drone business and that kind of stuff, we can increase our tax base 35 to 45%. So I think we're doing great things in Clinton.
All right, let's talk about openness in government, and the term that gets used a lot these days is transparency. So I'm going to ask each of you what you would do as a member of the board to promote openness, transparency, and communication in city government. And we'll start with Mrs. Oliver.
Communication is key to government. Transparency. What does transparency mean? So it means different things to different people, but what it means to me is communication, being open and forthright. What I would do as your alderman for Ward 5 is to start a newsletter, kind of similar to Mike Cashin's. I would send out a newsletter every month reviewing what the board has voted on, the issues that we're looking at, and please give me your input. I will be asking experts in the field and then verbalizing why I voted for one way or the other. We have our communication director. He has done an awesome job throughout our city and on our web page. We didn't have that 8 years ago, but now he has really built it to promote it, and that's another way that people can have transparency. I would continue to go through neighborhoods. I've been to, and I will go to 1,401 houses in our ward by April 6th, knocking on doors, seeing what you want, what your needs are in our community. I'll answer the phone and call you back within 24 to 48 hours. I will go to HOA meetings and get-togethers. I will drive through the city looking to through our ward, looking to see what we need, and I will remind the constituents of the meetings and the workshops. The city has also a great newspaper, Clinton Courier. Clay Mansell does a great job in communicating what is going on in our city. And like I said, I would have ad hoc committees looking and talking to experts in whatever issue is coming up on the board and the city and the Board of Aldermen in our city. And I would include business people, other aldermen, community developers, and also the Chamber of Commerce.
Mrs. Hutchison, what will you do if you're elected to the board to promote transparency and openness in government?
Everything that the city and the board does is public knowledge. It should be open. It should be for everyone to know about. I think it's vital more than ever for there to be transparency in government. A component of good government is being transparent. It builds trust with the citizens in the community. All voices want to be heard, and everyone wants to get answers, and they want honest answers. So I would be honest with the people on what is going on, whatever the meetings are about. Technology and social media have been a great tool for this. I will make sure that communication is open and that transparency is there so that everyone knows and can, feel free to ask questions. As your alderman, I will keep all that communication open.
Mrs. Oliver, you have the opportunity to follow up if you care.
Well, I would reiterate that I would send out a newsletter every month, and review what the issues are. There are our board and at City Hall is there. It's twice a month. It's open to the community. I will remind you of that. Work sessions, I will let you know the agenda. And if you are interested in coming to put your expertise in that issue, work sessions are also open. And I would solicit our constituents in anything that is going on. Any needs or any concerns, I will take to the table of City Hall, and I will follow up with you. And I know in the past, a long time ago passed, that I would call my alderman. It's not the recent, but earlier, and I never got a call back. I promise you that's not going to happen with me.
All right, you have 60 seconds, Mrs. Hutchison, if you want to follow up.
Well, the public has a right to know by law what is going on, and I will make sure that that communication is open, and I'm available if you have any questions or concerns, and I will make all that knowledge, I will make all those answers for you to have.
All right, we promised you a specific question about your neighborhood, so let's get into that one. If you are elected as the representative of Ward 5, I want to know what you view as the most pressing issue in your little part of Clinton. In Ward 5, how would you rate the top issue at this point? And we'll start with you, Mrs. Hutchison.
Well, I've been knocking on some doors and I've heard some concerns, and I've heard some issues of some water issues, some sewer issues, and there have been some issues of cars being parked on the streets, and I think that those need to be addressed. I don't really know all the answers. I haven't been up there in the meetings for all that, but I will certainly check into all the issues that have been brought to my knowledge. For our ward, for the most part, I think is really good. We have, Brighton Park is right here, and we talked about a little bit about the parks earlier, and my children still love to come to Brighton Park. So overall, I think everything, has been really good in our ward. But I think all the wards have certain issues, and I will make sure that I take those to the board and address them.
All right, Mrs. Oliver, what do you see as the biggest problem or issue in Ward 5, and what would you do to address it?
Well, Ward 5 is a very unique ward. We have a lot of diversity. Our old town, our historic areas, we have older neighborhoods, we have new neighborhoods, newer neighborhoods, a building going on of new houses, renovation. We are a small business owner, and what we do is we renovate and improve houses, revitalizing the neighborhood one house at a time, adding curb appeal to it. The enforcement of the codes are really, especially in our older neighborhoods, I've heard abandoned houses for 5, 8 years. I will really be on top of that, enforcing those codes. Also in our neighborhood, we have a new house that's not complete. It's been sitting there 5 or 6 years. So what do we do about that? We need to clean it up. The trash is in some areas are a problem. So we will address that through Hinds County Sheriff, getting them to come and pick up, clean up, and that kind of stuff. Intersections in our areas may need beautifying more, repairing signs, fences. But like I said, one of the biggest issues in our neighborhoods is speeding. Also another issue is multi-purpose walks. In our older neighborhoods, walking door to door, there's no sidewalks. And so for these young families coming in, we need multi-purpose walks for the old and the young and in the middle like we are, and just to get out and exercise. To me, that shows if you have sidewalks in your neighborhood, it's an open, safe, family-friendly, city-friendly for everybody. But the codes have to be reviewed. They need to be enforced. We need, I'm going to say it, a moratorium on apartments. I don't think that adds anything to our city right now. So that's what I would be focusing on.
Mrs. Hutchison, any follow-up?
I do agree. There's some speeding going on. I've seen that in some neighborhoods as well. But I will definitely listen to the issues that our ward has and take those to the board. If there's any other concerns that I haven't heard about, I will be available.
All right, Ms. Oliver, any final thoughts on Ward 5?
No, I just know that with the drainage and sewage, there is some drainage problems in certain areas of our neighborhood, the odor areas, and I will address that to the best of my ability. And if it's on private land, I would try to help get some experts to talk to you, maybe problem solve through an HOA. We can get together and bring experts on drainage and sewage and that kind of stuff to help problem solve for the private citizen. But I am always open, honest, and will just be very honest in what we can do and what we can't do. But I won't leave it at that. I will follow up and I will try to help you problem solve, because as a healthcare worker, we problem solve all day long with things that come up that you haven't even planned. And I will commit to that and seeking expert opinions.
Okay, with our final question, we're going to touch on quality of life issues, in particular parks and recreation. Always a big item of interest for the voters here. So we want to know specifically what you see as the needs in this area. What sort of improvements does the city of Clinton need to make in terms of parks and recreation? And as a member of the board, what would you do to achieve those improvements? We'll start with Mrs. Hutchison.
Well, I feel like the parks and recs go hand in hand with growing our city. Not only, we do have some beautiful parks and my children loved them growing up, but we do need to keep them updated and we need to keep Traceway updated. I feel like there was a time when Traceway was like my second home. I was probably there 4 or 5 nights a week. We had to use the restrooms. We had to use, the concession stands. We had to park our vehicles. We need to make sure that the roads are nice, not only for our families, but there's other families coming to our parks from out of town. They see this. Maybe they'll want to be a part of Clinton one day. Who knows? We need to make sure that they're all nice. We have amazing schools here. We have safety here, and we need to make sure that our parks are nice as well. Also, we have tournaments that can come here, and that would bring revenue to our city. So if we have all these things in place and they are nice and accessible, people will want to come and do that. I love our parks. I support all the effort to keep them beautiful. Clinton is also a certified retirement community. I would love to see some some safe walking trails and biking for it, and maybe some recreational programs that cater to our senior citizens, and maybe some really nice running nature trails. So that would be nice.
All right, Mrs. Oliver, some thoughts on ways to improve parks and recreation?
Yes, I think Adam has done a great job. I served on the Parks and Recreational Advisory Board as vice chair, and during that time we finalized the renovations and revitalization for Traceway, the National Junior College Softball Tournament. We have locked in a 5-year tournament, a 5-year contract for the National Softball Tournament. Part of the renovations were to do the concession stand and bathrooms with changing tables. Of course, COVID has really slowed that down, but we will have that. They bring $300,000 to $500,000 a week to our city, and of course, all the shops and venues that we have. Lions Park is an excellent example. It's one of the top in the state, and it is complete with ADA for physical, visual, and hearing disabilities. Brighton Park has one ADA swing. I think we need to really improve that. Kids Town, we have Bark Park. There's not many cities our size that has a Bark Park. We are renovating the North Side Park by Lovett, the Sarah Dickey Park, and I would love to bring the history of Sarah Dickey into the parks, and I think that would help our visit too. Of course, we need to keep up with the ball fields and improve it throughout, because that is what brings our revenue and tax base to our city. We also, pickleball is a thing that a lot of senior citizens have asked for. And I said, what is pickleball? It's between tennis and racquetball, if I'm not misunderstanding, and Brighton Park has all these tennis courts. So why can't we kind of convert one of them or tweak it when they want to play pickleball? But that is a great asset to our senior citizens too.
Mrs. Hutchison, a follow-up on Parks and Rec?
All of our young families and our senior citizens love to use our parks. We need to keep them nice. We need to keep them updated and make sure that we continue recreation for our constituents who live here. And, you know, maybe that'll help bring other people here as well.
Ms. Oliver, any final thoughts?
Well, Traceway also has a lot of different variety. I think besides soccer and baseball, we need to really look at the entire city and our entire population. They have archery, they have frisbee, golf frisbee, those kind of things. I think we should add some of those things to other parks, and also the neighborhood parks. We've got Brighton Park is a neighborhood park, I feel like. Lions Park is. So I think in other neighborhoods, the Lovett area has the neighborhood park. We need to just really build it up. And we need to really solicit bids and try to get the Little League World Series. We go to Fulton, Mississippi. Why can't they come to Clinton, Mississippi? We have using the revenue from all these other tournaments, we can add a lot of tournaments to our city, and we're also in the works for the walking trails in Traceway. So I think that's a great asset, connecting Traceway to the back of Natchez Park.
All right, those are the questions we have for you, so we want to move on now to our closing statements. As I mentioned at the beginning, we drew names to determine the order of speaking for both the opening statement and the closing statement, and Mrs. Hutchison, the name was pulled both times, so she had her choice of each. She chose to go first on her opening statement. She has decided to go last on the closing statement, so our first closing statement will be from you, Mrs. Oliver.
Well, I sure appreciate the opportunity for our constituents to get to know us and meet us. As a healthcare worker and a small business owner, I understand with the servant's heart and having to make hard decisions and being assertive. I have worked collaborating with many people who have different opinions and come from different walks of life. Working together for a common cause that has been what I have done throughout my nursing career and business career. I've been open-minded, I listen, critically think, and problem solve with integrity. I will treat each and every one of you with dignity and respect when listening to you. I am an advocate and your voice for Ward 5. Your opinion is very important and it matters. I will be transparent and truthful. Communication is key to my campaign. I will have gone to most every house before April 6th, meeting you, listening to you and your concerns. I will set up an email and update my constituents every month on issues the board is looking at or have voted for. That will be one avenue that you can connect with through me. I will keep you informed. I am true to my convictions. When I serve as your alderman, I will serve with the constituents' concerns and bring to the table what my constituents need. I am a consensus builder and will bring solutions to the table. I will research a problem and I'll look at why this code or that code changed or why it was done that way and find a solution and talk to the experts, like I've said before, in Ward 5 and the city. I will be proactive and trustworthy. My record shows my leadership through 25 years of service to you in the school system, City of Clinton, Junior Auxiliary, First United Methodist Church in the state of Mississippi. There's a saying someone told me, unhappy constituent, unhappy city. As my theme says, I am working for you, Ward 5, and our community, the City of Clinton. I hope I've earned your vote. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Mrs. Hutchison. You have up to 2 minutes for your closing statement.
I have had the best time walking these neighborhoods and knocking on the doors. At first, I was a little apprehensive about knocking on someone's door, but people have been so nice and open and willing to talk to me and get to know me. They have voiced their concerns, some which are like mine, some are new. I am willing to find the answers to all the issues that have been brought to my attention. I think my business background and my team building ability, experience dealing with the public, makes me very qualified to be your advocate for Ward 5. I am willing to work with our mayor and the Board of Aldermen to move our city forward. People have asked me, Jill, what made you decide to do this? And there's just one really simple answer, and I'm called to serve. And I'm willing to serve you, and there's no better place to do that than in my community.
Okay, thanks to both of our candidates for joining us to help the voters know a little bit more about you. And we're going to turn it back over to Kay now.
Thank you, everyone, for helping with this. Thank you, candidates, for coming. And I know that people in your ward are going to have to open the door when you come knocking and visiting out in Ward 5. April 5th, go to the polls, 7 to 7. And the one after, did I say April 6th? April 6th, rather, 7 to 7. The polls are open. And remember, that's the Republican primary. The general election will be in June, and perhaps one of these candidates will be on the general election ballot. In the meantime, take care, practice those COVID regulations, and thank you for visiting us and learning about the candidates.